board member at Center for Economics and Business Research. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for joining us here at TRT World, as always. Now, Europe's economic engine, Germany, now also under pressure, plus France and the UK under lockdowns. Most likely, we can expect more countries to follow. How much more economic pain is actually ahead for Europe?
Well, I'm afraid there is a bit more to be had. And we have seen, of course, a recovery through the summer. It was quite a strong recovery. We got figures for the third quarter, which came out just recently, showing that GDP in the Eurozone went up by about 12% or slightly more. We've seen Germany do well. We've seen France actually achieving very, very substantial growth of 18% in that quarter. But what it has meant is that it's still, as a region, the EU is something like 4% behind where it was a year earlier, and certainly hasn't gone back to pre-crisis levels. What is happening now with the lockdowns is that the pain that everyone felt earlier in the year is coming back. Not completely, because quite a lot of sectors are going to remain open. Manufacturing in most places. In some countries, you still have retail operating. But what is going to be suffering particularly is the hospitality sector, tourism, and so on. So the expectation is that services overall will be in decline. What we saw already in October is a slowdown in growth. Manufacturing still going up, but services actually declining, bringing the entire activity levels slightly down from where they were a month earlier. And if that continues, then November and December, with the lockdowns now, will be probably negative, which means that what we are looking for now is a sort of W-shaped recovery. And we hope that after the current lockdowns, the economy can bounce back again. So it's not as easy as it looked, and it's certainly not a V-shaped recovery any longer.
Right. A couple of days ago, the European Central Bank in some way promised to unleash new relief measures by December at the latest, but seems like the body is not quite sure what cocktail of lending measures would best stimulate the Eurozone economy. Does this mean that the officials in Europe are not ready for what's coming?
I think the European Central Bank has been looking at this for quite some time. I think it was looking for indicators to see what was happening in terms of some of the money being properly transmitted into the economy, so that lending actually happens and that it goes to the right places. The expectation is that there is going to be an extra stimulus coming in the form of quantitative easing, but possibly also looking at interest rates and seeing whether some more cuts in interest rates could happen. Remember, one of the main interest rates that the European Central Bank uses is negative. In other words, it penalizes banks for leaving money with it. It might make that even more negative, so that banks are more or less forced to go out and lend to businesses that are going to need it. And that, of course, is accompanied generally with the extra money that's going into the economy by the various countries, which are now in the process of boosting their own sort of borrowings in order to sustain the recovery and, of course, in order to keep their own health services going and their employment levels at reasonable highs. So remember, there's big unemployment in Europe. It's about 8.5% now. The interesting thing with all the furlough schemes that they have had, all the support to businesses to keep workers on their books, it has stayed at that level of 8.5%. And the last thing you want to see, and they want to see, is that going up, because that would mean an even slower growth in the economy in the future. So I think the European Central Bank is ready to do more, and probably will, and we'll get some announcement, of course, pretty soon on that.
Okay, Vicky, Pryce, thanks so much for that. I appreciate that insight for us. Not looking great, but let's hope for better times ahead.